Hey everyone, and welcome back to Shmindle Shmumlimited, the podcast for reviews, rants, and ramblings about books from our favorite way to get books, the Kindle Unlimited universe. I'm one of your hosts, Amity.
And I'm Lauren.
And I'm Steph. And this week we read Wild Love by, is it
Elsie
Silver. But before I attempt to the author's name, let's talk about everyone's week. What are you guys reading? What's going on? We are actually all together because Amity came down to Naples.
Woohoo! It's going to be so easy to edit this episode. There's not going to be delayed.
No internet connectivity issues.
Right? Yes, I'm so excited.
So what have you read, Amity?
I finished up, I think on our last episode, I said I was starting The Roommate Situation by Katie Bailey. Finished reading that. So cute as always. I'm pretty sure it's a series, but I did not get into book 2 because I began this week's book.
We can confirm with Katie Bailey next week.
Right. I know. I'm so excited. We get to talk to her soon. Spoiler alert.
For book club, we did Powerless. So I did the audiobook version of it.
Okay.
Not on KU, spoiler, but it was very good. Definitely YA, but enjoyed it. I'm going to start the second book. And I think the third one comes out in the spring. So it's by Lauren Roberts.
So what did you think of audiobooks? I've never tried an audiobook.
So my first experience with audiobook was the Fourth Wing graphic audio, which I started again because why the hell not? And I absolutely loved it. It's nice because I can get a break from reading on the Kindle, and it's like I only let myself do audiobook if I'm cleaning. I play it while I'm in the shower or if I'm driving.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you listen to them while you're driving?
Yes. So that, and then it like gives me an incentive to clean and do house chores when I don't want to.
Okay, like I've had some shows that I've been watching and they're like my laundry folding shows.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I enjoy them. It's like a different pace. It's nice.
Maybe I'll do that for Fourth Wing. That'll be my first
Okay,
audio.
you have to do the graphic audio, and it's fantastic.
Okay.
I think I want to try the graphic audio. I've always had a hard time with audiobooks that I don't pay close enough attention. And I'm like, wait, what's happening?
I think it was nice because like I already know the story, but I picked up extra details with the graphic audio.
Like how to say the names right?
Yes, that too. And they have a different cast member for every character.
Right, like I think that was really fun.
And there's like background like music and like sound effects. It's awesome.
Is it that guy's voice from TikTok?
No.
Oh.
No, it's not.
What?
I think my sister did Iron Flame, the graphic.
I did both. They were awesome.
They're okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think there's gonna be a delay when Onyx Storm is released because I don't think they get an advanced copy, so it takes them a few months to get it all.
With all of it.
I'd want to read it.
Which I'm so excited for Onyx Storm.
I know that's coming out soon, right?
January.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
January is gonna be here before we know it. I read I was back into that Kindle Unlimited, and I read this book called Never Say Never by Lily Miller. And it was just about a girl, and she's like not in love, but like kind of like her and her family, and she's really close with another family who has a boy that's close to her age, and they are like siblings-ish, which was kind of a little bit weird, but they've always had this like weird attraction to each other. And so, but it was really good, and I read through it pretty quickly, and it had lots of 5 years later, 8 years later.
That's Amity's favorite.
I know. So I was like, ooh, that was I
wrap it all up. I just want to go to sleep. Like,
I want to know
for those
their grandchildren have been doing in 50 years. I love it.
So
after they've worked through whatever happens between like 70 and 85%, I want to know, like, they've worked hard for their happiness.
I'm invested in this. I got through the mud with them.
Yes.
So this week we read Wild Love, which is a series. So there is a second one, and
the second book is great.
Is there a third one?
A third one is coming out next year.
And I think it was this book where I read it and I texted to you guys of being like, every character I met, I feel like I read their story.
Yeah. Well, so there's she has 2 other series. There is a crossover between one of her other series with a character in this book. the Chestnut Springs series, which
Okay,
is I
maybe.
think 5 books long. And that's an awesome series as well.
Which character was the crossover?
So Willa is Ford's sister, and Willa.
Okay, I swear I read Willa's story before.
You probably it's Willa and Cade, and their book is called Heartless.
I feel like
From the Chestnut Springs series.
I've read
Yeah,
this book.
Willa is so Cade. They has a little boy. Willa's
Yes.
the firecracker with the
Yep.
red hair. Yes.
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 Yep.
Have
So
read.
that is Ford's sister.
Yeah,
I read it on a Stephanie recommendation, actually.
I like met Willa and I was like, I feel like I know you.
Because you do. You do. All right, let's get into it. So the book starts by being introduced to Ford Grant, who was just recently nominated Ford's World's Hottest Billionaire. He owns a bar in Calgary. He started a music streaming app called Gramophone, and he is back in Rose Hill, where he would spend his summers as a kid. And Ford's dad is a famous guitarist for a band called Full Stop. Super big rock star. And his dad's name is Ford Grant Sr. He is Ford Grant Jr. He is kind of a little bit of a grump, hates the spotlight.
Very prideful.
Yes. And he is best friends with Weston Belmont, who owns the property next to him. And we start off with a bang here. He gets a knock on his new office, which is a rundown barn on the property that he's trying to remake into a recording studio for his new business. And a little 12-year-old girl just comes knocking on the door, and she is full of fire. Love this kid. Her name is Cora, and she starts like the first thing she says to him is, "You're my dad. You're my you're my sperm donor," basically.
Yes.
So it turns out that Ford donated sperm at the age of 19
to go to a concert.
to go to a Rage Against the Machine concert because his dad wouldn't buy tickets for him because, he's not a normal Nepo baby. His dad makes him
and his sister work.
Yes. Cora is emo, all the sass, wears all black. This kid's great. She did it, like, her and Ford both did the genealogy test, and that's how she found him. And her dad recently died of ALS, and her mom is like clinically depressed.
Yeah.
And Cora recognizes that, like, my mom needs help, like, and she has no other family. All grandparents are dead. She has really no aunts, no uncles. So Ford ends up agreeing to take care of Cora while her mom goes to inpatient, like, psychiatric care.
I was amazed at how quickly this all righted itself.
It's like, okay, let's go see your mom the next day.
Yeah. I thought that would drag on and be more of the storyline, but it wasn't.
And this kid, like, found her way from Calgary 3 hours to Rose Hill.
Yeah.
Didn't she, was supposed to be at school?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah. So then we are introduced to Rosie Belmont West's sister. She's in a corporate meeting. She has her MBA. She's in a new job, and she's giving a presentation.
And she's killing it.
She's killing it.
Yeah.
Everyone leaves a presentation, the meeting, and her boss Stan wants clarification, and he ends up getting a little handsy.
Ugh.
So she shuts that down right away. Said she's going to go to HR. HR is closed, and by the time she gets to work the next day, they end up firing her.
At this, I was like, "Hey, Rosie, even if this book is a couple years old, like, email's been around for a long time.
Yeah, you could have
HR
could have beaten him because this book came out.
Here's what happened. Here's the
last year.
timestamp I left the room. Here's the timestamp he left the room.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
I was like, really, you're just waiting to go, like, excuse me,
knock, knock, knock.
Right, like,
Yeah. So Rosie,
Sorry to interrupt you.
after this happens, Rosie goes home to her boyfriend Ryan, which they're kind of just comfortable. There's no spice, there's no spark. And he recommends that she pretends
That
it
didn't
doesn't
happen.
happen so she won't jeopardize her job. And of course that doesn't go well.
I didn't love Rosie as a character. I think a lot of it was because this was our introduction to her.
Yeah.
Like, where was the fight for anything? Like,
Because she's still fiery and
right,
feisty
like,
in the
you're not
rest of the
going
book.
to send an email to HR. You're not going to tell this like she's so conscientious of Ryan's feelings in everything. I'm like, girl, you were sexually harassed, and he's like,
Yeah.
It's
Boys
hard.
club.
Right, it's hard. It's hard in corporate. Like, oh my gosh.
And so she drives back to Rose Hill, doesn't tell anyone she's coming, and just shows up at Wes' house. Ends up staying in his bunkhouse, which is
like a weird barn shed with bunk
yeah,
beds.
like a shed with bunk beds. It's got a little mouse.
Yeah, I was gonna say little creatures
Yeah.
live there.
And a hot plate.
Yeah.
Is there a bathroom out there?
I don't know. I feel like maybe it was an outhouse, but it wasn't clarified.
You know, I just imagine it as so much worse than I'm sure it is.
Yeah, we were like camping.
I'm
right,
imagining like an experience in the UP of Michigan where it was literally just a room with
It's close to Canada.
yes, we're getting close. I mean, opposite sides of the continent, but it's fine. They were Calgary's pretty far west.
They are in Calgary. I don't know
Yeah,
where
so that's
Calgary
the province
is.
just over from British Columbia, I think. I don't know, I'm not Canadian, it's fine.
And
I've been to
BC
Canada once.
touches the Pacific Ocean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All
and
right.
that's where Vancouver is.
Got
Vancouver is very close to Seattle. And we like get some background info that Ford has secretly liked Rosie for 10 years. There's some banter. There's a dock on Ford's property that Rosie says is hers, just assumes it's actually on Wes property.
And she's like teary-eyed, and I think he does like push her, and she tells him kind of
Yeah,
what
she opens up
happens.
to him, but she doesn't tell anyone else.
Yeah, and she tells him not to tell anybody because she
Yes.
kind of wants it to.
I was like stupidly embarrassed by it.
Yeah. At the same time, Ford hasn't been forthcoming with his own family about Cora. Like he hasn't told his family at all about Cora yet.
Yeah.
But Rosie convinces Ford to give her a job. She basically just says, you can't say no to what I'm gonna ask you, and then demands
He's
a
like,
job.
I've never said no to you.
Yeah.
That was cute. Rosie is still with Ryan at this point and like asks him ish. Yeah. Tells him
this Ryan Rosie thing was like the weirdest thing.
It was drawn out like it
was so drawn out.
Again, I didn't, and she's so protective of him and he was not protective of her.
Yes.
So she tells Ryan she got a job in Rose Hill. She needs space from him, everything, but like she would like to have a conversation with him. He's like, I'll come next month because he's busy at work.
Just FaceTime. Maybe the internet's not very strong.
Yes.
And they can't email
I don't know about
in
that.
the big city of Calgary. And they certainly can't FaceTime.
They're like 3 hours from Calgary.
Right. Like the internet hasn't made it there yet, has it? Like they can't FaceTime, and that's why they can't.
Okay.
It definitely has.
I'm
And
sure it has.
Ryan's out in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I don't even know where
Also,
anything is anymore.
If I'm Rosie, I just drive over. Like, and he was like, "No, you can't come visit." I'm like, "Why can't I come visit? We're roommates."
Right, like at this point, he's cheating on you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I would just go in the middle, you go in, come a Friday night, see what he's up to, you tell him and leave.
Well, like if all her stuff is gone and everything, like
You would think he would be a little suspicious, but I don't know.
But like he like tells her, he's like, "Oh, I can't come visit." And she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll come visit." He's like, "No, I'm busy." Like, what?
I'm working my very important job. I'm just so important in the boys' club.
Yeah.
It was just so weird. Her and Ryan's relationship was a little strange.
Yeah. So like after this, Rosie's of course not okay. She's getting Cora from school, and Cora, I love Cora. That kid is great.
It was very interesting how quickly like he got her in school. And everything, but
you would know more about that process than
it was also I was like all of a sudden she's getting picked up from school. I'm like, okay, yeah,
it's a nice little bow.
Yeah,
a little present.
So Cora tells Ford she thinks Rosie is having a mental breakdown, and because Rosie had invited Cora to come with her to her parents, and Ford just tags along. He's like, she's not having a mental breakdown without me being there. So they go. Rosie tells her parents, and Rosie's parents make a comment that. Because Ford shows up and they're like, "Oh, we always expected you guys to get together," and like they're not together, which is really cute.
In the banter stage.
Yeah, lots of banter. Wes kind of interrupts some sexual tension there a couple times. We find out that Ford went to go pick up Rosie when she was in high school
after a bad breakup or cheating.
Like, I don't think they were together. It was like, I don't think it was her crush, and then she saw him like making out with some other girl.
Yeah, I think it was an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, was it an ex-boyfriend?
It was an ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
And she was gonna try to win him back.
Yeah, and then she walks in and he's like getting a blowjob from they had a funny name for the people who were just there on vacation.
Oh, yes.
What was it?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
The name,
it wasn't vacation horror. It was like more
something along, yeah.
Yes, but it was like more fun and creative than that. Anyways.
So she calls Ford and he gets there in 10 minutes. She's like, oh, I don't feel so bad about calling him on a Friday because he was out and about. Turns out he was actually at home and broke every speeding record to get there.
Okay, also, it was so funny to me while I was reading this book. So at the beginning of the book, he's like hot billionaire, right? But then like when they're describing him in high school, he seemed like a nerd.
He's grown into himself big time.
It very much felt like, you know, all of those movies where the girl takes off her glasses and pulls her hair out of the bun, and then I was like, wow, you're hot. I felt like it was like Ford like lifted his head up from out of the book and took off the glasses, and then the world was like, whoa, you are hot.
He's very cerebral, intelligent, and like his intelligence
he just
made him
sarcastic, humor, and no patience for dumb people.
I appreciate this.
I know. I think it was the mom, Ford's mom. That was like, if you go to sleep with a man and he has no books at his house,
run away. Yeah, I love that.
Great life advice.
It. So after Ford picks her up while she's in high school, she's like writing in her diary and then she throws it out the window. And we later find that he went the next day to go pick out her diary off the side of the road, and he's had it this whole time.
And he had to go multiple times for it.
She chucked it very far. And he has been wearing the key to her diary as a necklace for 10 years.
So I thought that part was sweet. Then later in the book, they get together. And there's like a weird something with he shoves the key in her mouth. And I was like, what's happening? And I'm on the plane while reading this. I'm sure my face is just like the weirdest. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, and I don't normally go back to read for clarity during the spice sessions. I probably read that whole part like 5 times. Like, is she choking her with the key? Like, how is this a little diary key? Like, the girls have these the keys are so tiny. Like, what do we do? How long of a chain is this?
We went so many questions here. Just starts
so many questions about that part, and I was like, stop. There's no plot. You need to move along. But I was quite confused.
Also, those keys were so like flimsy and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, how did that thing last that long?
Obviously, the lock broke when she threw it out the window.
Yeah, there was one scene where they're, still like getting to know each other again.
I talk about the key. I was a little scarred.
Good. There was one part where they both say like, you're different, and I think Rosie comments, probably a good thing, didn't like me much when we were kids, and Ford responds, you're not remembering correctly. So he's just dropping hints this basically entire book that he has liked her for a decade, and she just doesn't get it for a while. Rosie asks Ford if he's single. Of course, his answer is yes. And Ford responds, next time you ask me that, make sure you are as well.
Well, because he asked her back, are you? And she's like,
I don't know.
Yeah. She's like, I'm trying to be.
Right.
But Ryan is so busy with work, I can't break up with him.
I'm considering the thoughts and feelings of this asshole instead.
Yeah. I do think that one of the things that I enjoyed reading was Rosie and Cora's relationship, because
so
like
cute.
Rosie's redeeming.
Yeah. Because Ford's having this issue where he's like
he can't connect with her.
He can't connect with her. He's her father figure, but not really. And so he's like doesn't know how to do anything, and Rosie kind of is like, do this or do that, or kind of brings them together
about music. And so she kind of helped them bond a little bit, which was sweet.
No, I loved that.
Yeah.
Rosie starts like ripping out the diary entries from her book and like leaving them on Ford's desk.
This was such a cute plot point type thing. Like I loved that way of the shared exploration of going back without a time hop.
Yes.
Per se. Like it was, this was a fun add to the story. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So this was kind of like her diary entry showing that she's liked Ford the entire time as well.
She knew.
No, I think she just like was talking about him.
Yeah.
Now, also throughout this they were emailing each other back and forth.
Oh, those were
hilarious too.
Oh my gosh. The sign off on those were just incredible.
So which ones did you like better, reading the diary entries or reading the emails?
Oh, the emails, 100%.
The emails were definitely really, like, they were funny and I enjoyed their banter back and forth, but I really liked, like I said, like how the diary entry allowed us to learn about their past shared experiences without like a time hop.
Yeah.
You know, like just like a nice, short, concise. I liked that a lot.
They were
as a feature.
really
I thought it was really unique to this book.
Yeah, and it's really hard to have both of those features added to a book. So the way the author did it was excellent.
Yes.
Like it wasn't like, I didn't feel like it was too many or too
it was, and they were always fun.
Yeah, and at the right moment too.
And they weren't like, wasn't drawn out or anything.
No, yeah, it wasn't like you're like, okay, here's another email.
Yeah.
No, they were funny too.
There was another quote in this section of the book that I really enjoyed. It said, sometimes we need a minute to get our bearings before we have big conversations.
You did love that
I really loved that quote. They're like, there's something going on here. You need to take a minute to process it yourself before you can talk to it about, anyone. And I really enjoyed that way of saying it.
Yes.
Kind of giving yourself the time to figure it out on your own. Now we get into bowling league. It's dad's night out. West loves it. So West actually has 2 kids. He is divorced. Great dad. Kids are, one is a girl, feral. The other one is kind of selective mutism. You will get to know these kids much better in book 2. But so Cora loves black. Rosie loves pink. They end up watching Legally Blonde. And the cutest thing is before Rosie leaves, Cora's in bed asleep and she leaves her pink scrunchie. And then Cora like wears that scrunchie every day afterwards. It's so sweet. Rosie tells Ford why she got fired at this point.
She has that mentee bee she's been threatening.
Yes. She's telling him she's swimming in student loan debt. Ford says he's going to ruin them. Remember this for later, everyone.
I did actually really like this part, though. I appreciated she's just like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tired of, and here's the 48 things that are going on. And his reaction was great. I feel like anything that happened, and his reaction was great.
He was very good character.
Yeah, and he had like a similar reaction when he was venting to her, not venting to her, but talking to her about his relationship with Cora and how he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't, like, is he trying to be a father figure? Is he trying to be her friend? Like, he doesn't know how to connect with her.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this great relationship where they're able to kind of just like let everything out, vent out.
Ford finally tells his mom he has a daughter, specifically calls when his dad's not going to be there because his dad's kind of a hothead and will go off the handle.
Yeah.
Well, his dad had an unfortunate incident where somebody tried
claim
paternity
of their child, and which was not true.
It was just rough on the family and paparazzi and everything because when you're famous, that happens. Mm-hmm. So it was full about other people's emotions in a way that like you didn't need to be, but like
So then a little bit later, Willa shows up, Ford's sister, unannounced. And I love that Rosie was trying to protect Ford and Cora from
She sounded like a hurricane just coming
through. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reminds me slightly of your sister-in-law.
Yeah, kind of a little.
Kind of. She attempted to like tamper Willa's anger and before they were she was exposed to Ford and Cora. But of course, Ford and Cora heard the whole thing. And as this is happening, Ryan, they did.
Yes,
they did.
I knew Ford did, but I wasn't
sure
if
both
Cora did. She didn't seem offended.
Cora was like, "You guys figure this out. I'm gonna go elsewhere." Yeah. And but at the same time, Ryan's showing up early. Mm-hmm. At the same exact time. So Ford goes off with Willa. They figure it out. And I love the scene where Cora comes in and Willa sees her and sees Cora talking. And she's like, oh, that's all you, Ford.
Yeah.
I love that. Rosie ends up breaking up with Ryan, which we all knew was going to happen.
I always felt like Ryan was breaking up with Rosie too.
Yeah.
It was a weird
situation. Was kind of a mutual okay.
It was a weird.
It's funny because they ended with a handshake and Brian and I have always joked that if anything ever happened with us, it needs to be cordial enough that we end with a hand. Like it's not over until we can end it with a
Yeah.
handshake.
Absolutely. Willa and Ford go to dinner in town, and Rosie and Ryan happen to be there, and Ford gets all feral, I think is a good, very jealous, and kind of goes off on Ryan for how he's treated Rosie.
Appropriately so.
I agree. Someone's finally sticking up for
Yeah,
Rosie,
that
and
is
Rosie drags Ford outside, like, we need to have a word. And before
she's like, we ended with a handshake.
Ford ends up kissing Rosie before she tells him she broke up with Ryan. So that was important because he said, fuck it. And
Let me go.
yeah, I did rather enjoy Willa and Ford's sibling banter. So cute. Because Ford makes a comment, how does Cade put up with you? She responds, he doesn't. He holds on for dear life and comes along for the ride, which is so her character.
Yes.
Then kind of Rosie and Ford kind of tries pushing her away because like, you're my employee. Your last boss was inappropriate with you.
I don't want to be like that.
My best friend is your brother. And Rosie's like, I'm not taking no for an answer.
But I just kissed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where the emails.
This is where we get the hot and cold, lots of email banter. Decide to go to a fundraiser in Emerald Lake, and Rosie like calls him the next time and like, who's your plus one? And he goes, obviously it's you.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Duh. There's a little bit of spice in the office, interrupted by West.
Okay, my favorite was when West finally finds out and he like doesn't even care.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's like, it's about time you guys figured it out. I love that. Cora then gets in trouble at school and calls her teacher a chauvinist piece of shit.
Accurately.
Because he made a comment about a famous country artist who froze on stage, like, well, girls can't handle the pressure. And Ford goes nuts. Rosie shows up. They go to the principal's office together, and the country artist name is Skylar Stone. Everyone remember that for book 2.
Well, it was funny because after I read this, I read a summary for book 2, and I was like, oh, I think this is like, I had that feeling. I was like, oh, I think she's coming.
Yeah.
In book 2.
Oh yes. There's more like, we can't be together, pushing each other away. Rosie gets mad. And then there's a little bit of hate spice in the office when Ford gets back from taking Cora to visit her mom. And Ford makes a slip and he's like, it just makes me love you more. Which is like, well, that was aggressive from the start there.
They break his computer.
They do. And his parents happen to show up.
And what does his
almost
mom
immediately
do?
after. She is a sex
she's
therapist.
there. I feel like a lot of these books have sex therapists.
Yes, I read another book, but then it's very similar.
The one that we read by Abby.
Yes, that is it.
Yours truly.
Yes.
Yours truly, yes.
So his parents get there and his mom sees right through it and was like, honey, it's good if you go pee right after.
Oh my
gosh. Ford's parents end up meeting Cora. His dad is aggressive and is wearing a world's best grandpa t-shirt. I know. And he brings his guitar and starts teaching Cora, and she's just got like stars in her eyes. She's so loving it. Rosie ends up sleeping at Ford's house, sneaks into his room, and his like parents are there the next day.
Well, he had found out about like the mouse in the bunker.
Yes, he's like, you are not staying here.
She's like, that's my friend.
Not a bathroom. That's Scotty.
Scotty. And then we've got a scene the next day with spice and paint spilling on the floor, and that was the part with the chain. Yeah. Then they end up going to the Emerald Lake fundraiser. They're photographed, and Ford's like, I would prefer it if you ask if you can take a photograph of me, because he grew up not having the privacy.
Yeah.
He ends up saying, yes, you can take a photo of us. And Ford basically tells the photographer, this is my girlfriend, Rosie Belmont. And Rosie's got, hearts for eyes, and as she should.
Fun stuff.
But while they're there, Rosie runs into an old coworker that worked at her previous job, doesn't work there anymore. And the coworker lets it slip that her old job is not doing well. They've been evicted from multiple buildings, having to move. And Rosie is immediately suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Has a conversation with Ford. And it turns out he's been buying the office buildings and evicting her old boss.
Okay, so this is another billionaire book where they just like buy buildings, like
tens of millions of dollars. It takes a long time for like a real estate deal to go through. It doesn't happen that
What was the other
Who does
one?
it if it's cash?
Yeah.
True.
But-
Yeah.
Just to like buy buildings left and right, like it was nothing.
I've read so many books like that.
Yes. I'm like, I don't think it happens in real life like this. I've never met somebody who's like just like casually bought like a bunch of buildings.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't understand $1 billion.
We
Yes.
don't.
No.
I can't even fathom what that would be like.
Yeah. So I think it might.
Be buying buildings left and right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Or
it's
houses.
like Monopoly.
Or houses. It was the houses in the last Billionaire series that we read. He was buying all the houses. In his remember that Billionaire series that we read? And he did
Well, he bought the house that one jerk wanted.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he kept buying all the houses that he wanted.
Lauren Asher.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, okay.
Okay, now I remember.
Yeah, so he's Ford, another billionaire buying houses.
Yeah.
Right.
Rosie ends up telling Ford she loves him after she finds out what he's been doing. But then they get a call. Ford gets a call that West was arrested in Vancouver while evicting Stan. Rosie's mad, rightfully so.
And the jerk boss.
Stan the jerk
Yeah.
boss. Old boss that got a little handsy, or a lot of handsy. Rosie's rightfully mad at Ford because number one, he told West what happened to her, what Stan did when she specifically asked him not to. And then he put West at risk because he has 2 kids. Like, what?
Yeah, and West had a background of like,
Yes, West, had been arrested. He had a rough childhood with
Yeah.
fighting, just anger issues. Rosie gets a flight back to Calgary, tells him she's quitting her job, ends up having Ford's mom pick her up from the airport, which I loved. Ford goes to Vancouver, and when he gets there, West is just kind of chilling with the cops. He bought them all donuts.
Yeah, he's just
And he is not getting charged with anything because there was video evidence that Stan attacked him first, and he was just acting in self-defense.
this. I just like pictured when I was reading this part. I just pictured Ford like a sad puppy.
Oh,
like
definitely.
like so upset and realizing
Like
that
someone kicked his dog.
Yeah, exactly. And then West is just like the happy golden retriever puppy. Like,
Yes.
I didn't even do anything, and
That is accurate for West personality.
yeah. So
they get back to Rose Hill. Rosie ends up, telling Ford she's gonna forgive him, but she needs the rest of the day to kind of calm down because he fucked up. She gets back and West makes a comment like, that dock's not yours, Rosie. That's fully on Ford's property. She walks down to the dock and there is a sign that says Rosie's Dock and papers with the deed to that strip of land for her. That was really cute.
yeah. I just
These are the kinds of things that if you're a billionaire and you have just like a whole lawyer or a team who works for you, you can be like, hey, it'd be fun to get this done. And then it just happens.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
buy every building that this company is trying to work for. And then it just
Happens
Like,
magically.
yes.
Even though there's an army doing it for you.
Right. Well, yeah, that's how it happens.
write a deed for this dock that's on my property.
Basically.
Yeah.
The next day, Cora's having an end of year party with her friends at Ford's parents' house. Cora's mom tells Ford she's planning to move to Rose Hill. He offers to buy her house, which she's like, absolutely not. Cora calls Ford her dad in front of all of her friends. It was so cute. And then a month later, Cora asks Rosalie to play Bloody Mary with her, which there is a diary entry of Rosie playing Bloody Mary with her friends and West and Ford turning the lights off to the whole house and freaking them out. But they play Bloody Mary, the lights go out, Rosie basically yells out to Ford like to turn the fucking lights back on. Lights come back on, but Ford's behind her with an engagement ring, and in their usual banter, she ends up sprinting out of the house. He follows her down to the dock. They get engaged and they rename the record studio Wild Rose Records, and that is the end of the book.
I love it.
I know.
Until book 2.
Yeah, there is the first chapter of West's book at the end of this one, and it's very good first chapter once you get there, but I won't give you any spoilers.
Yeah, I did download book 2. I haven't started it yet. So
I enjoyed that one a lot.
I read it this week while I'm here.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
Guys, needed this book.
I was in a big slump.
I don't
for
know
a
that I was
while.
in a full slump in general reading, but for podcast reading,
We
I
had a
needed to go
couple.
back to my roots.
Yes. Yeah. Fantasy is just hard, because I think there's so many details in it.
There are.
And so it's hard to like make sure you capture all those details, and then to retell a fantasy, you need to like know the lingo, know the land.
Well, we did the murdery one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
We did the Halloween demon one.
Oh, yes.
And then we did the fantasy one.
And we also did the one before the murder one.
Oh,
Was
with
that-
the pregnancy trope one.
Oh,
Yes.
that was yeah.
And wasn't there one where, oh yeah, the pregnancy trope one. That was the one
Yeah.
where every page I was like,
And
okie
the
dokie.
walking red flag of a male main character.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the worst. We don't need to drag him again, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, but I love so many of her other books.
I know. Same.
You just
We'll forgive
there were
this.
too many red flags.
Yeah. So no, this was a much needed
Happy,
Yeah,
back to our roots.
loved it.
I needed this. Like,
Mhm.
I almost was like 10 out of 10. And I was like, this is not a 10 out of 10. But I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who is your favorite character?
Ford and Cora.
Cora.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ford West.
I did like Rosie. I think that
I
she
didn't
was
like
a
her. I'm sorry.
I'll be interested to see when I read the second one who I like. Because this guy
West is wonderful. The second book.
okay, so I'll have to.
Yeah. So we have tropes. We have brother's best friend, forbidden romance, small town billionaire, single dad. I don't think I missed any. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
All right. Rating. Amity.
7.5.
Okay.
Oh.
Pretty good. I'm gonna go with an 8.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll do an 8 too. So I'll find out the 7.833 repeating.
There
Okay.
we go.
Yeah,
To
one of our
infinity and
highest.
beyond.
So no, I
This
really
was good.
Yeah, it was,
like I enjoyed that. I needed this back to our roots.
yes. This was like the first like Kindle Unlimited book that wasn't fantasy or murder mystery that didn't have a sports person.
You've been doing a lot of sports. A lot.
So I was like, oh, I do enjoy these small town billionaire.
Don't go far, because our next one's a sports book.
Yeah.
It is hockey.
Oh yeah, and I've done a ton of hockey ones, so
Mhm.
I'll have
So our
lots
next
of background knowledge on this.
Our next book is Holiday Hostilities by Katie Bailey, and we may have a surprise guest on our next podcast.
Do we want to leave it a surprise, or do we want to tell him?
Let's tell him. You tell him.
Guys, actual Katie Bailey is going to be on our podcast.
Whoa.
We're so excited. We're going to get to chat with her about the book, and it's new release.
Yep, new release.
It'll still be fresh and festive. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited for like, I don't know, everything Christmas. There's so many like Christmas Netflix series, but movies coming out, and I feel like
Yes.
we haven't had any good ones in a while. And I keep seeing all of these like Hallmark, Netflix. So I'm excited to start it off with a book.
I saw a preview for something today with Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
She's making a comeback.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
I know.
Netflix has at least like 2 or 3 coming out. There's also one with Captain America.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
That's got Captain America. It's got Chris Evans and
Yeah.
The Rock.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a Christmas. But I think that one's in movie theaters.
Definitely.
I think it's called Red Line. Is that what it is?
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I'm so
I
excited.
think Santa's like kidnapped him.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that is not the romance I was thinking.
Oh, it is
No,
it is
no.
action.
It is action.
For sure an action movie.
I guess I should have known Chris Evans and The Rock. I was like, this is an interesting romance
Yeah.
cast. I was here for it. It was just different.
So no, this will be a perfect intro to the holiday seasons.
Can't wait.
Yay. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our reviews, rants, and ramblings. Remember, if you also read this book and you review it on Amazon or Goodreads, to please include that Shmindle Shmumlimited sent you. And of course, if you wouldn't mind a quick review on your podcast platform, we would be forever grateful. Have a great week-ish, and we can't wait to read, review, rant, and ramble with you again soon. Bye.